Okay, hello and good morning. Let's take a look. This is some problems on your practice test today. So look up here. Use substitution. Well, both of these have y by themselves. So I'm going to take this one and substitute in place of that y. Okay, notice that I have all x's. So you should have all one suit, so to speak. Okay, so at this time, we're going to solve this equation. So we're going to subtract x and then subtract 4 over here. So that gives us x squared plus 6x plus 5. Now, since it's a quadratic equation, you have to use the quadratic equation. So you're going to say x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. Let's see how this works out. So we get negative 6. This gives us 36 minus 20 over 2. This gives us 16, which is nice, and over 2. So negative 6 plus, the square root of 16 is 4, so plus 4 over 2. That's the plus. And the minus is going to be negative 6 minus 4 over 2. So here, we get negative 2 over 2, which equals a negative 1. Here we get negative 10 over 2, which equals a negative 5. Those are the two answers. Now, to find the y values, you're going to go ahead and plug them in. So we have x is a negative 1 and x is a negative 5. So at this point, you're going to plug them in right here. So a negative 1 plus 4 is going to be 3. A negative 5 plus 4 is going to be a negative 1. Those are your two solutions right there. Okay? So we did substitution, then we did the quadratic equation, and then we plugged them in to get our y values. All right, let's go on. This one right here, you're going to find your least common denominator. Remember, you take 6 and 8, and you take the biggest, which is 8. Does 6 go into 8? No. Double it, 16. Does 6 go into 16? No. Triple it. 8 times 3 is 24. Does 6 go into 24? Yes. That's your least common denominator. So 6 times 4 is going to be 24. And 8 times 3 is going to be 24. So we get 8 over 24 minus 27 over 24. And that's going to give us a negative 19 over 24. And that's how you do that. All right, let's go on. This one right here, the whole thing is being divided by a negative. So you want to multiply by a negative 4. And when you do, you get x minus 5. A negative times a negative, that's a double negative. That's 32. And then you're going to add 5 to both sides. It looks like 37. All right, so today you have a practice test. And so you're going to go up to the cart and get your practice test. And here it is. Now down here, you're going to use quadratic equation again, just like you do at the top. And on the back side, it's just some miscellaneous problems. And there are the answers. Let's talk about geometry. All right, so what is Euler's formula? Now remember, we said we were going to memorize it like this. Florida Virtual School equals episode 2. There it is. So you have 11 vertices. You're looking for the faces. So plus 11, and that equals 34 edges right here, plus 2. So if you solve that equation, you will get your answer. So that's 36 minus 11, and your answer is going to be 25 faces. It's real simple. Say it to yourself. Florida Virtual School, Episode 2. Memorize that. This one right here says find the volume. This is on your practice test. Well, volume is the bottom. So volume equals big B times H. Remember, if it comes to a point, you would have to divide by 3. So if it comes to a point, volume is big B times H, but then you got to divide by 3. But we're going to use this one right here. So the bottom is a triangle. So it's 1/2 the base times the height times the height of the prism. And this is a prism because the top and bottom are the same. It's not a pyramid. So this is a prism. Okay? All right, in any event, you get your calculator and you multiply that out. So that's 10 times 17 is 170, and then half of 170 is your answer. So you take your calculator. 170 divided by 2. And make sure if you're using my calculator, you put them back so you don't lose points. And this is 85 cubic inches. Remember, it's volume. All right, that's on your practice test. Let's keep working. We're going to do some on the practice test, and then I'm going to give it to you. So look up here. This one right here says find volume. All right, so volume is length times width times height. So you got two figures here. You got this one, and you got this one. So I'm going to do the number 1 first. The length is 8. The width is the same as this. So that's going to be 5. And then the height. So it's length times width times height is number 1. And then number 2 is length times width times height. And then you add that up. So this is 15 times 8. I get 120 there. And this is 10, so that's 60. And so it looks like 180 cubic inches. And it's volume. Okay? So you break it up into two figures. Let's take a look at this one. This is a bonus question. All right, this is on the EOC. This is kind of like a jewelry box. So I want you to draw this. Draw that. Okay. And then draw another one the same way. Something like that. And then connect these. And then put a semicircle up here. Okay, and then connect that. So what you have here is you have a box. So we're going to do the volume of a box. And then you have half of a cylinder. The top is only half of the cylinder. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Here we go. The bottom's easy. The bottom is just length times width times height. So it's 4 times 5 times 3. So that's 20 times 3 is 60. So the bottom is 60 cubic inches. Now to get half of the cylinder is going to be a circle, which is the bottom, times the height. So it's going to be plus pi radius squared, which is the circle, times the height. Okay? We'll have to figure out the height in a second. And times the height, and then you're going to divide by 2 because you only want half of the cylinder. See, this top piece is half of a cylinder. So you have to divide by 2. So you got to know what the radius is. Well, you see how this piece is 5? This is like a whole circle, so this piece is 5. That's your diameter. So the radius here is 2.5. So we're going to say 60 plus pi times the radius. The radius is half of that 5, which is 2.5. So it's going to be 2.5 squared times the height, And the height is from here to here, how long this thing is. And that's 4. So the height is 4. And you want to divide by 2 because you only want half of the cylinder. Now, if you can do your math, you'll get your answer. Make sure you understand the concept. It's a box, length times width times height, and then half of a cylinder. And the height is from here to here, which is the same as that. That is an EOC question. Memorize it. Let's go on. Copy down number 13. All right, on number 13, you're going to find volume. Volume, it comes to a point. So put volume equals big B times H divided by 3 because it comes to a point. So the bottom is a circle, so it's pi radius squared times the height, which is 26, divided by 3. And remember, the radius is 9, so it's going to be 9 times 9. So it's pi times 9 times 9 times 26 and divide by 3. Use your calculator and get that answer. Let's go to number 15. Number 15 is a pyramid, and they want surface area. Well, surface area on this one, we're going to open it up and draw a net. So it's a square pyramid, okay? And you got 4 triangles that are the same. The bottom is 5 times 5, so that one's easy. 5 times 5 is the bottom, plus 1/2 the base. The base here is 5. And the height of the triangle is actually called your slant height. So that's going to be times 7. But you got to multiply this answer times 4. If you can do that, you'll get your answer. All right, number 19, take a look at this one. This one, I'm going to use the actual picture on the page here on your practice test. Let's take a look at it. Now take a look at it. You see how it's a box with a cone in it, and it says, what is the volume of wood left after the cone is removed? Okay, so basically they're going to drill a cone out of the box. So you're going to take the box, the volume, so you're going to take length times width times height, and then you're going to cut. So when you cut, that's a minus. We're going to subtract the cone, and the cone is going to be pi radius squared times the height, and the height looks like 12, which is what that is. So the height is 12, and the volume, since it comes to a point, you have to divide that by 3. So if you can do your math, you can work this problem. And from here to here, your diameter is 12, so your radius is equal to 6. And that's how you work that problem. The answers are on the back, so you'll know if you're doing it right. All right, there's one more I want to look at before I give you your practice test. And here it is right here. This one right here, they give you the volume of a sphere. They give you the volume, number 20. There's the volume. And you know it's volume because it's cubic. And they want you to find surface area. So get your formula sheet out. I think volume is equal to 4/3 pi radius cubed. Memorize that. And then surface area, I'm not real sure, so let me Google that real quick. Okay, so you got your